I was reading about the recent DC Comics Rebirth relaunch, and it looks like I was pretty much right. This is just another repackaging of the same bad product with a brand new shiny wrapper. Yes, the original Superman is back, but the same dysfunctional Nu52 universe is here with a few characters dressed up in brand new clothes. Just like your Black Kid Flash, who's wearing the original Kid Flash's costume. You have a couple of other additions here and there, but all you're getting is the exact same product. And this is really sad because, in the face of losing 10% of DC's market share and seeing their sales decline, instead of changing course and admitting that the strategy that they planned for the last 5 years didn't work, you have Dan Dido and Warner Brothers pretty much insisting on tripling down on a dysfunctional business paradigm that has not worked and will not work, and basically showing most comic fans how little respect they have for the business of comic books, the DC Comics brand, the DC Comics catalog, and the DC Comics characters. They have pretty much expressed their contempt with this Rebirth relaunch. And yes, they put on some window dressing, like saying that Geoff Johns is going to come in and write it. But this is another, again, slap in the face to comic fans. And it's also a passive aggressive slap in Geoff Johns' face. What DC is doing to Geoff Johns is the same thing that Marvel did to Chris Claremont many years ago when he was on the X-Men. Now, Chris Claremont was a great writer at one time, and he produced many great X-Men stories. But over time, Chris's skills started to decline. And the reason why they started to decline is because he was shouldering more and more of the load with the X-Men catalog and the X-Men universe. And he was literally doing 4 and 5 books. I mean, I remember one time when he was doing X-Men, New Mutants, Excalibur, and even some issues of Wolverine. And it was bogging him down, and it was really decreasing the quality of his stories. And I see the same thing paralleling with your Geoff Johns. And a lot of people, they put Geoff Johns on a pedestal like he's going to be some savior, but this is not going to be the case. The big problem with DC Comics and Warner Brothers is that they have pretty much damaged their brand by pretty much allowing an inexperienced person to run their publishing division. Dan Dido, again, has no publishing experience. He does not understand the business model of publishing. He does not understand the approaches to publishing. And he still continues to try to put lipstick on a pig in the hopes that comic fans will eventually accept his version of the DC universe and hope that they will eventually start buying comics again. This is not going to happen. People have grown up with a DC universe that they know, and they want their characters back. They want their stories back. They want the DC universe they knew and loved to return, and they're not seeing that DC universe come back. This is why the sales have declined over the last 5 years, and DC Comics has lost so much market share. And this is why many people, including comic shop owners, have become indifferent to this relaunch because they've heard it before from this guy, and they're understanding from a logical perspective that no matter how many changes this guy implements, the results are always the same. So the problem isn't the catalog or the characters. The problem is DC Comics executives and Warner Brothers executives who have no vision, no creativity, and no imagination, and they're trying to ram a product down people's throat that they just don't want. And instead of admitting that the product doesn't work, that the customer doesn't like the product, they insist on continuing to try to push this product. And that's really shows how dysfunctional the management at DC Comics and Warner Brothers is. How can you sit there and continue to try to ram a product down people's throat? It doesn't matter how many #1 issues you produce. If the product is not top quality, the customer is not going to be there. And in the business world, it's like this. It's an interdependent business model. If you have good product, the customer is going to buy it. If you have bad product, the customer is just not going to be interested. And when you look at DC's Comics product over the last 5 years, it has been of the poorest quality, and yet they're still expecting people to keep coming back. And they keep falling, and some people just keep falling for the same okey dokes over and over again, thinking that, oh, it's going to change. It's not going to change, again, until the people at the top change. That's the only way you're going to see real and significant change at DC Comics. Because if you don't have the right people in leadership, they cannot direct the brand, they cannot direct the product, and they cannot set a tone and a focus for the product. Because I look at the DC Comics product, and it resembles that Batman v Superman movie in a jumbled, dysfunctional mess that makes absolutely no sense. I look at that product, and it's not easy to follow, it's not easy to read, and it's not easy for new customers to come into. Here we have the DC Comics on, I think, what, a sixth, seventh, eighth relaunch with more new #1 issues, and still trying to dictate to the reader what the entry point should be. That is not the job of a publisher. The job of a publisher is to produce products that are easy for the reader to get into, easy for the reader to follow, and to understand that the reader will pretty much figure out how things work, and they will connect their own dots and pick up their own products at their own leisure. This is about trusting the reader to do their job. Unfortunately, people at DC Comics don't trust the reader, and they don't have the confidence in the reader to be able to navigate their products and to understand how things work. So they want to try to dictate to the reader. And they say that they don't understand why people are walking away. This is why they're walking away, that they're not getting what they want. And they're looking at the product and looking at it and how jumbled it is and how confusing it is. And they're saying, you know, I don't want to buy this. It's not good. It's not quality. What they want, again, are easy to read stories that feature their favorite characters. This is not that hard if you understand the craft of storytelling and you understand how story models work and you understand how story paradigms work. This is very, very easy. But unfortunately, because there are no publishing professionals at DC, there is nobody to set that tone and set that vision for the brand. And I'm looking at this recent Rebirth relaunch, and I have a feeling I'm going to be making an I Told You So video sooner rather than later, because I look at this product and I look at the direction of it, and I see people who are becoming more and more indifferent to these new #1 issues, these relaunches, and they don't really care about these celebrity creative teams like your Greg Ruckas or all these people. They don't care anymore. What they want is quality product, and if they don't see the quality on the page, they have no incentive to buy in. And they really don't have any incentive to buy in because they look at how inconsistent the product is and how inconsistent it flows, and they know that after this creative team that they announce in the first issue who leaves on the 24th of the 36th issue or even the 12th issue, they're going to see, again, another rapid decline. Because this is another big problem that a lot of people in DC, Marvel, wherever you go, who aren't creator owners, don't understand. When you have a change in a creative team, you see these rapid declines in sales. And that's because people are following these celebrity creators. They're not following the character. And that's something that a lot of these guys just don't understand. And the only way you can break that pattern is to get people interested in the character instead of these celebrity teams. And nobody really wants to focus on that from a business perspective. And they thinking, because that's what really kills most of these relaunches, is that, yeah, you'll bring on a celebrity creator, he'll do maybe 12 to 36 issues, and then you see the big drop when the secondary team comes on, and then you see a really, really steady decline, which is one of the big problems of the comic book industry has suffered from for the last, I'd say, about 20 years with these celebrity teams. They'll come in on the relaunch and the big announcement, but then the big problems start happening three to 5 years later, and then because these guys don't know how to regroup and have a strategy, because that's what a publishing professional will do, they'll regroup and then try to create a strategy to bounce back, so that the secondary won't fall off. They don't know how to navigate that, so they wind up having these declines. And I saw that happen with Marvel with the 97 relaunch of Heroes Reborn around 2001. I saw the same type of decline, and I've seen this same decline happen on numerous occasions, but nobody in the comic publishing world wants to address that issue at all. They don't want to address that you really need to find a way for secondary creative teams to come in, and this was something that Jim Shooter always made effect of, and other editors from back in the day, like Archie Goodwin, they always try to bring these guys in as fill-ins so that people could start getting to know their art styles or getting to know their story approaches, so that everything wouldn't have to rely too much on celebrities. But no one at DC, has that long-range vision. So this is why their relaunches just fall apart, because they're too, again, heavily loaded on gimmicks. They're too heavily loaded on shock, and they're not presenting anything of substance. Again, the customer has pretty much told DC Comics they want their classic DC universe back. They want the characters in their classic costumes, and they want a story model that is easy to follow. They want story arcs that are one, two, or three issues, maybe four, but that's about it. That's what they really want. And instead of giving them that, we get the lipstick on a pig, a repackaged DC Nu52 with the original Superman on top like a cherry, and another blatant disrespect to DC Comics fans, and pretty much showing and expressing contempt for the very customers who have supported this brand for over 75 years. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.